Hi, welcome back to G&T Sailing. In this episode, we explore the Marquesas Islands in French Polynesia. Welcome to this special series of G&T Sailing. It's been a bucket list item for us to sail in the South Pacific, and since we don't have plans to take Felicitat into these waters, we took advantage of joining John Kretschmer in French Polynesia aboard his Kaufman 47 Quetzal. In this series, we sail 800 nautical miles from Tahiti to Hiva Oa in the Marquesas. We pick up where we left off last time on our approach to Fatu Hiva. Where have we landed, Captain?
Fatu Hiva.
As Tim said, we're entering a catamaran convention. Good thing Ultima's coming. Otherwise, we'd be the lone mono. That's meta. The mono. Our buddies from Ultima are arriving. So I'm sitting here waiting for the guys to get ready. We're gonna go hike to a waterfall today. And I can remember sitting in this cockpit 8 years ago, dreaming about how it would be when I have my boat and longing for that and wanting it so badly and imagining and wondering if I ever was gonna have it. And now, 8 years later, I'm sitting here thinking about getting back to the boat exactly 2 months from now and carrying on our journey and just marking time on Quetzal and the evolution of going from having the dream of cruising to the reality of a cruising life. It's been a really special trip in that way, to really reflect and think back and all the learning that I've done and the ground that I've covered. It's pretty cool. So if you have a dream, come sail with people that can help you make the dream happen, help you build your confidence and picture it, learn the lessons. People like Nathan and Vivian on Ocean Passages, or John, or there are other people out there doing it. Obviously we have a bias, but it's possible.
You better turn to the other side. If you stay right here, I might move my head to your face. It's been a long and tiresome day. I've been waiting to come home and give you everything that I have. Now we could stay awake all night and have dinner in bed. Slowly watch as the sun rises. I'll fall asleep.
And they tap it
Uh-huh.
with a rock.
With a rock?
Yeah. So this is how it starts out. Wow. And they keep it wet and they pound it on the rock until it's thinner and thinner and thinner, and then they dry it. And
Yeah.
sweet. Wow.
Oh, wow. Wow.
C'est très grand.
Well, and so this is post-hike. We just got back to the boat.
Yeah, this is a local Tahitian beer. This Hanano. This Hanano lady is everywhere you go around here. It's not a bad beer.
Kind of just light. Not light, but light.
It's different, but I mean, on a hot day, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than Michelob Ultra. Guarantee you that.
Food. A boat is not an excuse for a bad meal.
Don't let it turn into a camping trip.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be sandwiches and granola bars for 7 days.
Did you cook like this on
As we're
deliveries?
eating this delicious food.
I started to toward the end, just realizing that, I mean, good food just changes your attitude so much.
Mm-hmm. You probably sleep better and
sleep
more
better.
energy.
And it gives everybody a sense that things are okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If you're
like
just
normal.
ripping out a sandwich because you feel like it's too rough, then this layer, of anxiety just kind of seeps into everybody. Everyone has a good meal, happens hour. I just think it does a lot to buoy everyone's spirits.
It's amazing.
I am. I'm going to be your memoirist.
That's going to be a hell of a wake.
Oh my God.
Jesus!
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh my
I
God.
hope it's going to be fun. Jesus.
Well, what do you
hope my
want to
wake-
say to your people?
I
We'll
hope
use
my
this
wake is
video.
fun.
Bring on the. Oh, it's going to be a wine squall. I hope it is. No, we were sailing off the coast of New Jersey with my friend Mike, who was a coal miner, as he called himself, but he and his 2 brothers owned a huge coal company. And Mike was a funny guy. He was not highly learned, but super capable. And he loved sailing in a series of boats. We were sailing, not when we got struck by lightning, but from Lauderdale down to Miami. And he has one of the greatest lines of all time. So we're sailing close to the beach so I can stay out of the Gulf Stream, and I'm pointing out buildings in Miami Beach and stuff. And Mike says, "So John, I keep hearing about this guy. Who is this guy, Art Deco?" But anyway, Mike and I are sailing off Atlantic City, and we run into a big lightning storm, and we put everything away. We're sailing with just reef sails, engine off, and we take the mother of lightning strikes. You can see the mast glow, and it arcs down the backstay, and I feel this blowtorch on my back, and my foul weather gear was just burnt, and I went apparently, and kind of collapsed behind the wheel. And Mike's like, John, he thought I was dead, and I was laying there, and I thought, I must not be dead because I was thinking about this. That's a good sign. I'm like, wow. And my jacket was burnt, and I didn't actually get struck, I think myself, but I think because I was so wet, the lightning made its way to ground through my clothes.
Mm-hmm.
But I was pretty shook up.
Wow.
Yeah.
That John Kretschmer.
He's got stories.
He's a tough dude.
What's that Thoreau quote? You take the marrow out of life.
Suck the marrow
Suck the marrow out of life. You're living a Thoreau life.
I don't know. Todd just seems to like me better after the lightning strike. No, that
You
was,
guys are funny.
yeah, that was scary, actually, for sure. So as you know, Gretchen, we sailed to Newfoundland. We have sailed there many times. I think Quetzal has been there now 5 times. And the last time was just the summer when we did the big one that we talked about. The previous time to that was 2016 or 18 or something. Anyway, we had been there 5 years before that. So we sailed into this little town called Bonaventure. And it's on the west coast of Newfoundland. And it's a cute little place, and it's famous because they have a replica of John Cabot's ship there. And there's a little marina, and the dock master's this guy named Jerry. And he's a super friendly dude, and he welcomes all the boats. And so we came in, and I'd gotten to know Jerry previously.
It's not like a lot of boats go there, right?
Not a lot of
Yeah.
them. He told us, they had 7 boats the year before, so he remembers everybody. So we came in and tie up, and Jerry comes bounding down to the dock, and he's very happy to see us. He goes, John, great to see you, man. You were here 5 years ago. And I said, yeah, I remember. He goes, give me a beer, I got a story. So he comes on the boat, and he sits down, He says, you know, it's 5 years ago you were here. I said, I know, Jerry. It was great. And he says, it's good to be back. He goes, oh, man. So when you were here, you know, we had that nice visit on a boat and we had some beer. And I said, yeah. He goes, well, you know, I went home from that and I told the wife, I said, there's a boat from the States in the harbor. And the captain's a writer. And she said, oh, really? What's his name? And I said, John. And she said, not his first name, you idiot. What's his last name? And I couldn't remember your last name. You know, I said, it's like Kretschmer or Gretschem or Gretschem. She goes, Grisham? He goes, yeah, that's it. She goes, John Grisham, is that the marina? And he says, yeah, he's a real nice guy.
Which is true.
And so he goes, oh my God. And she goes, why? He goes, you're an idiot, you don't know. So she starts calling all of her friends and they make arrangements to come down to the boat with all their John Grisham books the next morning at 9 o'clock. But luckily for John Grisham, the sailor, had sailed away at 6 o'clock, and I missed the book signing. So, so John Grisham wasn't there.
Oh, so they weren't bringing Sailing a Serious Ocean.
They were not.
Pelican Brief.
They were exactly. You know my favorite writing story, though?
Tell me.
So I had this great friend of mine, Dan Sullivan, who really, we were the best of friends, and Dan was a super interesting Irish guy from Boston who had made a ton of money with a tech company and sold out, and he was a great supporter of mine, and he was just this Irish guy with a glint in his eye and told stories, and everybody was his friend. Dan was a good guy. In fact, I just got an email literally on this trip, someone saying, you know, I'm a friend of Dan Sullivan's and he recommended your book to me. Anyway, he died about 5 years ago. But Dan and I did all sorts of stuff together, and when Flirting with Mermaids was published, it was a very obscure Sheridan House. They printed 3,000 copies or 4,000 copies, and to kind of help jumpstart the book, I don't know if you know this story. It's a wonderful story.
I haven't heard this one.
And Dan ordered 50 books to kind of like put in a big order for the book. Because he's mentioned in the book, right? He's on like page 167. There's one delivery we did. And so he then orders these 50 books and has them shipped to me. And then he sends me a list of exactly how I'm supposed to sign them. Because he's sending them to his parents, to his... He's just about to get married to this great lady, Linda, to her parents, to his best friends, and a lot of his old girlfriends. He's sending them all around, right, as only Dan would do. So I have very specific instructions on how to sign them. So like to one of his old girlfriends, I write in there, is it true that Dan Sullivan is the greatest lover in the world? And you know, his best friend in the world, this guy Jim Meehan, whose nickname was Shit for Brains. And so that one I signed, hey, Shit for Brains. Dan Sullivan doesn't know whether you can read or not, but on page 167 you'll see the words Dan Sullivan. I signed all these stupid things very specifically. And then I send them back to him in this box. So he takes the box, goes down to his shipping department, and he's put the address where every book is supposed to go in the frontispiece. And he says, mail these out. So the shipping guy looks at the books and realizes they're all the same.
Oh, no.
So he pulls out all the shipping places, puts them in a thing, and the books
Just
go out
randomly. Go to
randomly.
anybody.
So his soon-to-be mother-in-law gets, hey, Shit for Brains. Dan Sullivan doesn't know whether you can read or not. And the books go out randomly, and his life is like crashing. He doesn't know who's got what book. He's trying to find out which old girlfriend got which book. It's just, it was a wonderful story. So Dan died. I told that story at his funeral.
So several people were like, yep, I got hers.
Oh, you're a Shit for Brains.
That's a great picture right there.
Don't leave without us.
This is proof that
We saw them right here.
I've got your bank card.
Actually, I should go.
Do you remember?
Yeah, I wrote it
I
down.
got it. I heard it. I was listening intently.
Let me give you my phone number, please.
Bye.
No, this is a different phone. I need you to call my phone, please.
John and Vivian dropped us off for a truck tour of the island.
My name is Pui.
Pui.
Yes, P-O-I.
Pui.
Yes. And every boat sailing come to Hanawave. Me propose the tour. Nega to para Pukiki. Solange. Make tapa.
Nice.
Fatu Hiva, this the specialty of the island is the tapa.
Tapa.
Oh, breadfruit.
Breadfruit tree. Batua.
Batua.
Wood of pin.
Pine.
Pine.
Tree. Okay.
It's very heavy.
Finish. So big the breadfruit, so big the tapa. Yes. Here they have three different color. The second,
Smells really good.
this normally put in the hair, the wife.
Flower, there are mint,
Mint.
gardenia, family gardenia is kekeni.
I didn't know we were going to a spa today. So the speed going home seems to be faster. What do you think? Why is towing a dinghy bad seamanship?
40 miles of open sea. It's just a long way to tow a dinghy, and people do for sure, but to me it seems like a bad idea. Yeah, I mean, the thing is back there, it can wrap around the hydrovane, wrap around the rudder. It just, experience has shown that it's a bad idea. It's mostly just being lazy.
Bye bye, Fatu Hiva. You are a nice anchorage. Very good stop. Beautiful, protected, very nice people.
Hey, darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey, darling, we the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car. Leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday. Baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey. Come on now and take my hand. Hey, darling, I love it when it's me and you on the road with a couple of tunes in a car for two. Hey, darling, you know we're gonna have a really good time, driving in the middle of the night when the stars are bright. Pack our bags and get in that car. Leave a little note and we'll drive.
We were just talking about Kitsal's leads are fairly forward on the spinnaker, because I'm always contemplating load, right? So if you bring something and it has to make a 90 or 60 back to the winch, the load that's delivered to the winch is a lot more, and spinnakers generate a lot of load. Every load you can keep clean, straight, I mean, we minimize the load as much as possible. And I think that, you know, if you have a big spinnaker, a real spinnaker, that's a different thing, but
Asymmetricals.
And so, in terms of amount of sail area, so I think having the lead a little further forward helps you put power in the sail. I mean, what do you do if you want to power up your general in light air? You run the lead forward. So, I don't know, maybe it seems I have that luxury of having a lot of attachment points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's just kind of a hangover from the way racers do things. But I'm not sure with an ASIM it makes much sense.
Join us next time as we make our way to Hiva Oa.
One of the reasons why Dan and I were such good friends was a great friend of mine, Don Van Gaal, who late in life sort of became my mom's companion, passed away, and his wishes were to have his ashes spread in Long Island Sound.
Mm-hmm.
And so he donated his body to science and all this stuff, and then it came back, and I finally got his ashes, and I organized with his ex-wife and 6 children to meet me on Block Island, where he and his wife had honeymooned, where I was going to take the family on this boat I chartered up there, because Kitsal was far away, and sail, because Don was a great friend of mine, and I would sail out in Long Island Sound near Block Island. We'd have a nice ceremony, and I would dump Poppy overboard, and his kids would be there, and so it was a really nice idea. So I told this to Dan, and Dan lived in Marblehead, and Dan was 65 at the time, 62 maybe, and he said, "Oh, that's great. You know, you need a hand?" I said, "Yeah, if you want to come." And he said, "Oh, I love it. A burial at sea, blah, blah, blah." So Dan, I rent the boat out of Mystic, and Dan meets me there. And it's a nice CNC 44, not CNC, it was a Choi Lee. It was a cool looking boat. And Dan's looking kind of bedraggled. He's looking sweaty and hot, and he wasn't in great shape. And I said, "You okay?" He goes, "Well, I guess I should tell you I was actually in an ER last night." I said, "Jesus Christ, Dan." He goes, No, I thought I was having a heart attack, but it was only reflux. And the doctor, they discharged me and said, it'd be good for you to actually go sailing. He's literally negotiating the sale of his business for $44 million. I was just totally stressed out. So I said, all right, great. Well,
Get that line.
So we get his gear
watch.
on, and he's like not doing that great. And that's okay. So it's a long motor from Mystic down to the Sound, and we're going to sail to Block Island that night, meet Poppy's family the next morning. So we're just about to the ocean, and Dan goes, "Ah!" I go, fuck, Dan. He goes, no, it's that goddamn reflux. I said, Dan, I said, I don't think so. I mean, he goes, no. He goes, no, I want to do this. And he says, if I die, it doesn't matter. You can do a 2-for-1 deal. He's a funny guy. And I said, no, this is crazy. Let's just go back. He goes, oh. I said, you don't have to do it. It's no problem. I'll go out in the morning. He goes, so I turn the boat around, and he looks at me, and he goes, ah! And he keels over.
Are you kidding? He died?
He doesn't die.
In the cockpit.
But he keels over in the cockpit.
Oh my
And it's
God.
as though someone had pulled a petcock from his foot. The blood just rushes out of his body.
Oh my God.
So I put out the only Mayday, I guess I had one other heart attack, I put out a Mayday, but I put out a Mayday in the channel in Mystic. Mayday, Mayday, we're having a medical emergency, having a heart attack on board. And I knew the closest marina was this place called Brewers Marina. So I'm coming in, they respond saying, we've cleared our face dock, we call the EMTs. I come flying in, I get him, I crash into the face dock, the EMTs.
Did you like go over a bar or something?
No, that was another
different.
heart
Okay.
attack story.
Do you guys have you taking your heart meds?
And so the EMT, I hear the ambulance, they get there, everybody ties the lines up, they leap aboard, they put the defibrillator on, they go, we've lost him. No, he's coming back. I mean, he is touch and go survival. So they lift him off and they put him in the ambulance, and I'm like getting in there, and you can't ride with us. I said, I got to. So they let me ride with him, and we fly over to New London is where Yale is. It's a little town, it's New something in Connecticut, where it's a hospital, but there's no way to do like emergency heart surgery or anything. What's the town? Anyway, we come in there, they rush Dan in, and nobody knows why he's alive. His blood pressure is like 70/30, but he's still alive. And they get him in the emergency room, and I've kind of gathered up some of Dan's stuff, and the doctor says to me, he goes, your friend's gonna die, almost assuredly. He goes, we don't have the ability to do anything here. The only thing I can do is administer a massive dose of blood thinners. I don't think it'll save his life, and I can almost assure you he'll have brain damage. What do you want me to do? And I said, he's my friend. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's engaged to be married, and he's got children. And he says, you brought him here. I mean, you either have to reach somebody or I have to make this decision in the next 2 minutes. So he had one of those Palm Pilots in those days.
Yeah.
No clue what his password was. I tried everything. And then you look up in the yellow pages, that's how long ago it was, Daniel Sullivan's in Boston.
A gajillion.
Yeah.
And so I call Lisa, and she's trying to call everybody. Finally, I said, give him the blood thinners. I mean, I don't know. So they gave him the blood thinners. He comes out a half an hour later, the doctor says, there's been no change. And I said, Jesus Christ. I said, what can we do? And he had literally, I guess he had sold his company. And he said, the only thing we could do is try to helivac him down to the Yale Medical Center. He said, it's a waste of money. I mean, it's crazy expensive. I said, fuck it, you could buy that helicopter. Put him in that goddamn helicopter and send him there. And the doctor's like, I said, do it. He said, I'll sign for it. I know he's got the money. Mm-hmm. And so they helicoptered him down to Yale. I then got a ride back to the boat, got his car keys, finally reached Linda, the lady he was engaged to be married to, who's a dear friend to this day. And we kind of arrive at the same time in Yale. And Dan is in a coma now, in the ER, in the heart place.
ICU, probably.
ICU, he's in the ICU, and he's stable, but there's no prognosis for him to survive. And doctor comes out and speaks to us. So I, meantime, have this boat sitting up there and this funeral I'm supposed to be doing. So I say to Linda, look, I'm going to go do that. And Linda says to me after the doctor comes, she goes, never underestimate Dan. And I'm like, you got to get ready, Linda. This is, I said, I agree. So in the hubbub of getting Dan's shit together, I grabbed his watch and his gear and all his stuff. So I go back to the boat. I sail overnight to Block Island. I'm friggin' exhausted. The next morning, I pick up the family. We do the ceremony. I'm trying to be, I've got this kumbaya thing going on with dumping Poppy and they're reciting poetry and shit, and I'm trying to get into it. But I'm like, my other friend is dying in the hospital here. And anyway, by the time I drop them off again, we hug and kiss, and then I go back, I get disoriented in the fog, it gets windy, and I go aground in the Mystic River. Finally get off, I return the boat, I get Dan's car, and I drive back to Yale. No change. Linda's still there, he's still in a coma. And so I stay there for 3 more days. Nothing anybody can do. I said, I gotta go home. I mean, she goes, yeah, go. So I say to her, we hug, and I say, look, I'm putting Dan's watch on my wrist, and I'm not taking it off until he leaves this hospital. Then I go home. And so I go on a delivery. I deliver one of those Hylases down to Fort Lauderdale, right? Or down to St. Thomas. And I come back like 8 days later, and I'm back, and I've checked a few times, but life goes on, and the phone rings, and I pick it up, and it's Dan.
It's Dan.
Dan says, hey, I heard you stole my watch.
That's classic.
And he survived, and he lived for 18 more years.
That's cool.
Yeah.
She was right. Never underestimate him.
Yeah, he's a great guy. So then the buying the books thing, after he was like, I was his greatest friend at that point.
You stole my watch.
And he always gave me shit saying, I couldn't afford that helicopter.